She parked her brand new Bentley sideways across my barn door, gravel spraying as she slammed the door shut. She crossed her arms, chin lifted, wearing that smug smile like she already owned the dirt beneath her heels. "You're not allowed to use this barn anymore," she said, loud enough for the whole road to hear. My fists tightened, but I kept my voice even. "This is my property. Move your car," she laughed, slow and mocking, shaking her head. "Not anymore. HOA rules. And if you touch my car, you'll regret it." Behind me, my cattle kicked against the barn walls, the noise growing louder, panicked, trapped. My pulse hammered, but my face stayed calm. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. "You don't know who you're messing with." She lifted her phone like a weapon, pretending to dial. "One call and you'll be dragged out of here." I didn't step back. I leaned in instead and whispered, "One move, and I'll show you what real power looks like." The wind carried the low rumble of my tractor engine firing up behind me. I climbed onto the old tractor like it was the only thing that made sense and started it slow. Careful not to scare the kids watching through the fence, Karen slammed her phone down and shouted, "I'm calling the HOA police. You'll be ticketed and towed." A skinny man in a suit and sunglasses stepped out of her car holding a clipboard, puffing his chest like it meant something. While she hit live on her social feed and people began drifting closer, he marched up and said, "Sir, you must move. This is HOA property now." I let the tractor idle and smiled the kind of smile that makes liars uneasy. "Show me the deed," I said. He flipped his clipboard like a magician. "Papers, stamps, a typed notice." Karen pointed at the camera and laughed. "See? Rules win." I sighed and shook my head. "You can buy a car," I said, "but you can't buy a right." Behind him, a tall officer in plain clothes stepped forward. He looked at the papers, then at me, and something shifted in his expression. He didn't reach for a badge. He folded the document slowly, like he'd seen plenty of fakes before. For the first time, Karen's laugh cracked. She snapped at him, "Well, do your job and arrest this man." The officer didn't move. He stared at me, then at the tractor rumbling inches from the Bentley's bumper. I leaned forward on the wheel, voice steady but sharp. "You really want to play this game on my land?" Karen's face flushed red. "This barn is under HOA control. I filed the paperwork myself." Her confidence shattered when the officer finally spoke, low and flat. "Ma'am, these documents aren't even notarized, and this land isn't HOA territory." Gasps rippled through the neighbors filming. Karen spun on them. "Stop filming. This is private business." No one stopped. I eased the tractor forward just enough. The front loader nudged the Bentley's grill metal, crunching softly, deliberately. She screamed, "You wouldn't dare." I let the engine roar louder and said calmly, "Fought wars for this country. You really think I'll bow to fake rules?" The crowd fell silent. Even the officer's eyes widened. Karen's smirk vanished, replaced by fear, real fear, before twisting back into rage. She lunged toward the Bentley, slapping her palms against the hood like her body could protect it. "If you touch my car again, I'll sue you for everything you own," she yelled, her voice cracking halfway through. The neighbors kept filming, whispers turning into open commentary, a few quiet cheers slipping out. The plainclothes officer stepped closer, calm but firm. "Ma'am, step aside. You're trespassing." She spun on him. "Do you know who I am? I run this neighborhood." He didn't blink. "No, you just pretend." Inch the tractor forward again. The loader scraped the Bentley's chrome bumper, sparks flashing in the sun. Karen screamed like the car was her child. "Stop. You'll regret this. I'll have the cops here in seconds." I shut off the tractor. The silence hit harder than the engine ever could. I climbed down slowly, dust curling around my boots. As I passed her, I pulled a folded envelope from my back pocket and handed it to the officer. "Here's the actual deed," I said, loud enough for every camera. He opened it, scanned the signatures, and nodded. "Legal. Clear. This barn, this land, it's his." The neighbors erupted in murmurs, phones capturing every word. Karen froze, mouth open, no sound coming out. For the first time, cracks showed in her kingdom. Then she snapped back into performance mode, clapping her hands and yelling toward the road. "Officers, over here. Arrest this man immediately." 2 squad cars rolled in, lights flashing. The crowd gasped, thinking she might pull it off. Karen rushed them like a commander. "That's him. He tried to attack me with the tractor. He's dangerous." The officers stepped out, hands resting on their belts. One raised an eyebrow, taking in the Bentley scratches, the tractor still in front, the neighbors filming from every angle. He looked at Karen. "Ma'am, did you just call in a false emergency?" Her voice went shrill. "No, he threatened me. Look at my car." She pointed at the dent like it was fatal. I didn't move. I crossed my arms and said quietly, "Check the cameras." Everyone here already had the truth. Phones lifted higher, screens glowing as neighbors nodded, eager to share what they'd captured. Karen tried one last move, leaning in close to the first officer, whispering like she was cutting a private deal. But before anyone could react, the plainclothes officer, who'd been watching from the start, reached under his jacket and pulled out a badge. The crowd gasped. "That's enough," he said firmly. "I'm internal affairs." Then he pointed straight at Karen. "And you just attempted to manipulate law enforcement." The color drained from her face. Her confident posture collapsed, knees nearly buckling as the uniformed officers shifted their focus from me to her. Karen forced a laugh, thin and shaky. "Manipulate? No, you don't understand. I was just protecting the neighborhood." No one bought it. Phones stayed raised. One woman across the street shouted, "Protecting us? You blocked his barn." Another voice chimed in, louder now. "She's been bullying everyone with fake rules for years." Karen spun toward them, panic leaking through the cracks in her mask. "Lies, all lies." But the internal affairs officer lifted the papers from the clipboard. "This isn't just lying. This is fraud." One of the squad officers stepped closer, already reaching for his cuffs. Karen panicked. She shoved the papers back toward them. "Don't touch me. I'll have your badges." Then she jabbed a finger at me. "And his tractor is a weapon. He should be arrested." I stayed calm, let the silence stretch. Then I spoke. "Funny thing," said, reaching into my pocket again. I pulled out a small USB drive. "Security cameras cover every inch of this barn. The footage is already backed up online." Her face went pale. Anger drained away, replaced by raw fear. The officer nodded slowly. "You really should have thought this through." The neighbors started clapping. Some laughed openly now. Karen stood frozen, her Bentley scratched, her lies exposed, her power gone. And I hadn't even played my last card yet. Her hands shook as cuffs snapped around her wrists. She twisted, fighting them, screaming at the crowd. "You're all making a mistake. I own this place. You'll see." The harder she fought, the louder the laughter grew. Cameras flashed like she was some fallen celebrity being dragged off stage. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she and the officers could hear. "You wanted power," I said quietly. "Now, you get to feel what happens when you abuse it." Her eyes burned with hate, but fear lived underneath. An officer opened the back door of the squad car. Just before they pushed her inside, she screamed one last threat. "This isn't over. My lawyers will bury you." I didn't even blink. Instead, I handed the internal affairs officer another folded document, official county records outlining every boundary of my land. He scanned it, nodded, then turned to her. "Ma'am, you've been trespassing, impersonating authority, filing false reports, and obstructing property rights." "That's a long list." The crowd erupted, whistles, applause, cheers. Karen was shoved into the car. The door slammed shut, cutting off her protests. The Bentley sat there, dented and scratched, a perfect monument to her downfall. I climbed back onto my tractor, gave the neighbors a nod, and fired the engine. "Guess the barn doors are open now," I said with a half smile. They cheered as the squad cars pulled away. For the first time in weeks, the air around my land felt free again. Still, I knew Karen wasn't the type to disappear quietly. Dust settled as the cars vanished down the road, her voice fading into nothing. Neighbors gathered closer, some clapping me on the back, others still filming. An older man chuckled. "Never thought I'd see someone stand up to her." I smiled tiredly, eyes drifting back to the Bentley still blocking my barn. I eased the tractor forward. Metal crunched as the loader lifted the car like it weighed nothing. Gasps and laughter rippled through the crowd as I carried it across the yard and dropped it into the roadside ditch. Dust exploded. When it cleared, the Bentley looked like a broken toy. "Drive's clear," I said simply, climbing down. Cheers thundered, but beneath the noise, something deeper settled in. The barn doors swung wide. Cattle poured into the pasture, finally free. I leaned against the tractor, watching them spread across land my family had worked for generations. I raised my voice just enough for the cameras still rolling. "This is America. You don't steal a man's land. You don't bully families. And you don't fake the law, not while I'm here." The neighbors went silent for a moment. Then applause rolled through the fields. Flags waved. Shouts of support echoed. As the sun dipped behind the barn, painting the sky in red and gold. I looked out over my land and whispered to myself, I didn't fight for this country just to be told I can't use my own barn. And that's how it ended. Justice served. Freedom intact. And a message that would carry far beyond that dusty road.